This is Rummy's Corner. I don't know shit about boxing. These are exciting times to be a fan of heavyweight boxing. Last Saturday night, in a heavyweight championship contest that was televised in the US by the relatively new powerhouse streaming app service known as DAZN, unified IBF, WBA, WBO heavyweight world champion Andy Ruiz Jr. defended his belts against the man he beat to become the unified champion, Anthony Joshua. Back in June, Andy Ruiz Jr. scored a sensational upset victory when he stopped Joshua by 7th round stoppage. Joshua had gotten off to a good start and he dropped Ruiz with a crisp combination in round 3. But Ruiz persevered and battled back, and he dropped Joshua twice in that very same round. Ruiz knocked Joshua down twice more in round 7 before referee Michael Griffin had ultimately seen enough. How did Ruiz beat Joshua? For starters, Ruiz was patient, poised, and had an excellent strategy. The main thing Ruiz was able to do that made him successful was that he was mostly looking to stand his ground and counter whenever AJ attacked and got into mid-range. The strategy worked and Ruiz Jr. made history. What was different in the rematch, and how did Joshua get his revenge? Joshua similarly exhibited great patience in the rematch, and he also had an excellent strategy where he made the proper adjustments to his fight plan. Joshua was able to keep things at long range, and he was able to smother Ruiz whenever he got inside. Joshua also exhibited tremendous discipline in not making himself vulnerable by overextending with unnecessary combinations. And when he did throw punches and combinations, he was typically only doing so when the angles and distance were favorable to him. In short, the main thing AJ was able to do this time around was making Ruiz come to him, where Joshua was able to pick and choose his spots. AJ wisely rarely ventured into mid-range, and this forced Ruiz to attack rather than hold his ground looking for countering opportunities. The result was a lopsided unanimous decision in favor of Joshua. What Joshua lacked in adaptability inside the ring during their first encounter, he more than made up for with the adaptability he showed in his stellar preparations for the rematch. I had my doubts that Joshua would be able to pull this off. I thought he'd need to make too many little changes to his style, and I didn't believe he'd be able to make all of these changes in just 6 months. I was clearly wrong. Not only was Joshua able to make all of these changes, but the execution of his strategy was nothing short of brilliant as reflected by his dominant victory. So AJ made history by becoming a 2-time heavyweight champion. That puts him in a fairly exclusive group, and he accomplished this by defeating the man he lost his championship against to achieve this. A fairly recent historical example of this is the situation involving Lennox Lewis and Hasim Rahman, when Rahman scored a shocking upset knockout against Lewis, and Lennox avenged that loss with a devastating highlight reel knockout of his own. Joshua may not have scored a sensational knockout to avenge his loss and regain his titles the way Lennox did, but even so, I think what AJ accomplished was equally definitive. Beyond that, I believe what Joshua did was actually more impressive, because when Rahman stopped Lewis, it was a single well-timed punch that did him in. With Joshua, he wasn't dropped and stopped by a single punch. Indeed, Joshua was being thoroughly outboxed and outfoxed by Ruiz in most facets of their first contest. But this time, Joshua put on a boxing masterclass as he showcased an entirely new dimension to his game. Make no mistake, Ruiz's victory back in June was no fluke. It was no lucky punch, and to claim so does a great disservice to both Ruiz and Joshua. Ruiz earned his victory in June every bit as much as AJ earned his in the rematch. With the victory, Joshua has re-established himself as one of the top 3 heavyweight champions in boxing today, along with WBC champion Deontay Wilder and lineal heavyweight champion Tyson Fury. Considering the fact that Joshua is the biggest draw among this trio of heavyweight champions, that largely puts Joshua in the driver's seat. And as such, Joshua has the opportunity to choose his own path. Will Joshua look to build himself a timeless legacy by actively seeking out the fights that can potentially make him a heavyweight legend? I think he could, and I sure hope he tries. If Joshua can become the lineal heavyweight champion, this would solidify his claim beyond reproach as the real champion. And if Joshua can add the WBC title to his existing collection of 3 major world championship belts, he can stake a claim as undisputed heavyweight champion if he is in possession of all 4 major world titles. And if he can do both, if he can earn a valid claim to the lineage, and if he can win the WBC while keeping hold of the 3 titles he now has, that would make AJ the baddest man on the planet. And we haven't seen a heavyweight champion who held every major world title of his day, along with a valid claim to the lineage, since the great Lennox Lewis himself accomplished this feat back in 1999. Fortunately for AJ, if the rematch between Wilder and Fury goes ahead as rumored in February, he would be just 1 victory away from making heavyweight history in the modern era. So with Anthony Joshua being the biggest draw among the 3 heavyweight champions, he is in the best position of the 3 to make this happen. If, that is, he truly cares about carving out a meaningful heavyweight legacy that can solidify him beyond any shadow of a doubt as the best heavyweight in this era. So assuming a Wilder-Fury rematch carries forward as expected sometime early next year, the would-be winner of that rematch will likewise have a potential legacy-defining moment with a unification bout for all of the heavyweight marbles against AJ. This is what the heavyweight division needs, and this is what boxing fans deserve. It's back to the point where any potential matchup involving Joshua, Wilder, and Fury that isn't against one of the other 3 is an inherently inferior matchup. That's not to say that someone else can't score a shocking upset the way Ruiz did back in June, but the opportunity exists right now for all 3 of these heavyweight champions to settle matters once and for all. And with AJ being the huge draw right now, if he really wants it, all he has to do is demand the winner. I know that there are some contractual considerations that may complicate things in an undesirable fashion. But back in the day, if HBO and Showtime were able to come together to bring us mega bouts between Lennox Lewis and Mike Tyson, and more recently between Floyd Mayweather Jr. and Manny Pacquiao, I sincerely believe the money is there that similar compromises can be reached regarding broadcasting rights. And this again all boils down to the fact that Anthony Joshua is the big draw right now. If he truly wants it, I'm betting he can make it happen if he shows a willingness to compromise and a desire to dare and be great. Same goes for Fury and Wilder. Compromise is the key. I, for one, hope Joshua does whatever it takes to make a fight against the winner of the Wilder-Fury rematch. Because based on Joshua's stellar performance this past weekend, he has proven to be an absolute ace when it comes to pre-fight preparation and sublime execution. And in an ironic way, losing to Ruiz might well prove to be the greatest thing AJ could have hoped for in terms of carving a legacy for himself. Is Anthony Joshua now in the midst of building a long-lasting heavyweight legacy? Time will tell, but I for one hope he does. AJ has already made his mark in the long, rich history of heavyweight boxing. But if he wants to create a long-lasting legacy among heavyweight legends, he needs a valid claim to the lineage, and he needs that WBC strap. Thanks for watching, everyone. Hope you enjoyed, and have a wonderful night. This is Rummy's Corner.